Welcome to Aksharaha, an initiative by Anveshan Educational Trust. Before getting into the session, let me ask you something. How many of you have attended a training program where the trainer spoke for 1 full hour and you were just listening? Now, another question. How many of you have experienced continuous feedback instead of waiting for one annual appraisal? Exactly. That shift from passive learning to participative development and from annual evaluation to continuous performance management is what we are discussing today. Before selecting any training method, HR must ask one important question. Are we teaching what to know or are we teaching how to do it? If we are teaching facts, it is called declarative knowledge. And if we are teaching skills, it is called as procedural knowledge. Because the method must align with the objective. If you mismatch the method and the objective, the training fails, even if it looks impressive. Now, let's see how traditional and modern methods handle this. Traditional methods were largely instruction based. The assumptions was simple. The trainer knows and the trainee receives. Let's break this down. The lecture method. Now, many students criticize lectures as passive. But let's think critically. If I need to transmit structured theoretical knowledge to 100 students in 45 minutes, what is the most efficient method? The lecture, right? It is structured, controlled, time efficient, and standardized. However, here's the limitation. It primarily supports declarative knowledge. It does not automatically guarantee understanding or application. This is why modern trainers integrate visual aids, case illustrations, and micro questions. Because cognition improves when multiple sensory channels are activated. Now we move from transmission to integration. In discussion based training, the trainer is not just delivering content, the trainer is stimulating thinking. Notice the types of questions used: direct, tests recalls; reflective, it tests comprehension; open ended questions, it tests analysis and evaluation. You can see the hierarchy in this, right? We are moving from lower order thinking to higher order thinking, and this is where learning becomes deeper. Now, let me ask you, can you really learn leadership only from slides? Not really, right? That's why on the job training becomes powerful because it situates learning within real work. Structured OJT, especially job instruction training, follows four clear steps: preparation, presentation, practice, and follow up. Notice something important here. Practice and follow up ensures procedural knowledge. This reduces errors and improves performance consistency. Now let's move to modern systems. The workplace has changed. Technology driven, globalized, remote, and fast paced. So training had to evolve, right? Now let's start with computer based training. Computer based training is not just about watching videos, it includes simulations, interactive decision making modules, knowledge databases, and AI supported training tools. Now think about this. When senior employees retire, their tacit knowledge used to live with them. Today, organizations digitalize that knowledge. That is strategic HRD. Next, we'll move on to e learning. E-learning allows self-paced learning, anytime access, and it is cost-effective. But here's the question. Does flexibility always mean effectiveness? Not necessary. Without structure, e-learning can reduce engagement. That's why organizations move towards blended learning. Blended learning integrates classroom interaction plus digital reinforcement. Why is this powerful? Because human interaction stimulates motivation, technology enhances efficiency. It combines emotional intelligence with digital intelligence. That is the modern HRD philosophy. Now, let's shift to performance management. Earlier, appraisal was event based. Today, it is process based. What does that mean? Let's see to it. Traditional performance appraisal. Traditionally, annual meeting, standardized rating form, supervisor evaluates, employee receives. The power structure was hierarchical. Supervisor was a controller and the employee was the evaluated party. But here's the issue. Performance is dynamic. So how can evaluation be static? Waiting 1 year to correct performance gap is inefficient. That's why modern performance management was adapted. Modern systems treat performance management as a cycle. Goal setting, monitoring, feedback, coaching, review, and reset goals. This is strategic alignment. Let's go with manager as coach. Earlier, the manager controlled performance. Now, the manager develops performance. Coaching implies guidance, feedback, skill enhancement, and psychological support. This shifts performance management from fear based to growth based. 360-degree appraisal. Now, let me ask you, if only a professor evaluates you, is that the full picture? No, right? Similarly, in organization, 360-degree appraisal collects feedback from supervisors, peers, subordinates, customers, and self. This reduces single source bias and increases transparency. It also reflects modern organizational complexity. Now, let's move on to open appraisal. What exactly is this open appraisal? Open appraisal is not just transparency, it is a philosophical shift. It rests on three pillars that is explained as follows. First one is two-way communication. The employee is not a passive recipient. They can ask for clarification, present evidence, and challenge the evaluation. This enhances procedural justice. Next, employee participation. Research consistently shows when employees actively participate in appraisal discussions, satisfaction increases, goal commitment increases, and performance improves. Participation builds ownership. Supportive climate. If appraisal becomes fault finding, development stops. So, modern appraisal focuses on constructive feedbacks, growth orientation, and development planning. The emphasis shifts from judging past performance to improving future performance. The ADIME framework. No matter whether it is training or appraisal, HRD must follow a systematic process called ADIME. ADIME stands for Assessment, Design, Implementation, and Evaluation. Assessment, identifying the gap between current performance and expected performance. Design, set clear objectives, choose correct methods. Implementation, deliver the program or intervention. Evaluation, measures results. Did objectives get achieved? What needs improvement? Without assessment, training becomes guesswork. Without design, it lacks direction. Without implementation, it remains theoretical. Without evaluation, improvement is impossible. This is why HRD must be systematic, not random. If we observe carefully, the shift from traditional to modern HR systems reflects a broader transformation. From control to collaboration, from event based evaluation to continuous development, from instruction based learning to learner centric engagement. Modern HR is not about managing employees, it is about developing human capital strategically. And that is the essence of contemporary HRD. That's all for today's session. Stay tuned to learn more such concepts related to HRM. Thank you for watching.